Hey guys, what's up? So I am finally vlogging post Days of Future Past, and I'm going to talk about Days of Future Past in this vlog, and it's going to be spoilers. I'm honestly getting tired of not being able to talk about a movie and how amazing it was while avoiding spoilers. So if you didn't see Days of Future Past, I recommend you go see the movie and then you come back and watch this vlog, because honestly, I can't talk about Days of Future Past without giving away spoilers. I could, but honestly, it's just worth it to talk about it in spoilers. So just a warning before I even talk about it. But before I do, still on the topic of X-Men, we've got LEGO's version of Days of Future Past as the official set. This is already released at Toys R Us's and maybe LEGO stores. I haven't heard any word of LEGO stores. These are all released in Toys R Us's. You can find them in your Toys R Us, because the Guardians of the Galaxy sets have a street date on them, so even if your Toys R Us or LEGO store does have them, they're not going to sell them to you. So, but your Toys R Us will have the X-Men set, because LEGO does not have a street date on this, and they actually ship these separately, instead of, actually shipping them with the Guardians of the Galaxy sets to each individual store. So, it's pretty awesome, and obviously, if you guys don't already know, it's kind of basic info. First of all, this is the first X-Men set since 2012, and second of all, this is pretty much like the comic version of Days of Future Past, because LEGO don't reserve the right to make actual sets based off the films. They don't have that agreement with Fox. So instead, we've got this Days of Future Past set, but it's like the comic book version of it. So this is the way it looked in the comics. So you've got like the comic book version of the Sentinel and Wolverine and Magneto and all that awesomeness, and the Blackbird. It's a cool set, and I honestly wasn't going to review it initially when I saw it at the photos at Toy Fair, but after seeing Days of Future Past and those X-Men figures you saw me just make, I could not pass that up. But yeah, so, and then I actually started on something for Brick Fair. Now you guys know, I probably am not, honestly at this point it's guaranteed that the mock Siege of House City is not making it to Brick Fair. I can 100% guarantee it to you. Once again, you guys are already up to date with the mock. You've seen all the progress on it. There's nothing new for me to show you. But when there will be, you'll see it over here on MGF Extra, and eventually when I do finish the terrain, then that'll go up on my main channel as an update. But for right now, I decided to clear the way where I was working on the Siege of House City to prioritize my sections for my friend Sean's collaborative mock, Sigma Octanus 4, and it's based on one of the famous Halo books, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to prioritize those in terms of mock building, and then once I finish those for Brick Fair, maybe I can finish them before Brick Fair, and I probably will. So when I do, then I'll bring Siege of House City back in, and I'll get back to working on it. But for now, I'm working on this jungle section. This is the very, very rough start of it. I'm going to be adding a lot more to this. It's barely even detailed right now. But this is pretty much going to be like the jungle section. This is the start of it for the mock. And you see I've got my Halo 4 Operator Spartan in there. And that's actually a direct copy of what my Spartan looks like in the actual game. Regardless, you can see I do also have this, which is a road section. You can see I don't have it finished yet because I don't have the 1x4 dark bluish gray bricks required to finish that. So I have to bricklink those. And yeah, so I'm going to be working on these primarily, these 3 sections. Now, obviously, there's only 2 sections here. I have yet to start on the building because there's going to be a building as well. But yeah, I'm prioritizing these right now because I do not want to, I don't know, just come up short and not have these be the way I want them to be. I don't want to rush myself, so I'm starting now. And 2 months, I think, is plenty of time to finish only 3 gray base plates. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now in terms of mock building. So the Siege of House City, I would say, is officially being put off a little bit, because it comes down to why prioritize something that's not going to make its initial date. So, and obviously I'll have the Siege of House City done before next year's Brick Fair, but why prioritize the mock that I was working on if it's not going to make the release date that I wanted it to make, if I can work on these right now? So you guys can probably understand where I'm coming from. But yeah, so what else? The X-Men Days of Future Past showcase went up the day that the film came out. And also, if you guys want to check out on my Flickr, Twitter, and Bookface, you can see that I posted photos of all the minifigures. Here's Wolverine. I mean, if you guys haven't seen any of it, I've posted it everywhere. But yeah, I posted the showcase, included my new Wolverine minifigure, which I'm super proud of, especially that painted face. Charles Xavier, who is relatively simple but gets the job done, and I have him out of his wheelchair right now. And then we've also got Beast, who was a last-minute choice. I wasn't going to make Beast initially, but I'm really glad I did, because he turned out really awesome. And then, of course, we've also got Magneto, who is the first one I actually painted, and I'm pretty happy with him, too, with his Legolas face. That actually, to me, looks like Michael Fassbender. But, Yeah, so also I want to show you this. This is actually Professor X. Actually, let me get these bricks off of his legs with 2 fingers. There we go. This is Professor X, the old version of Professor X. That's a painted head, actually. And about that, yeah. I did not make the rest of the figure. I have the head on a Death Star Trooper's body because, well, I honestly, I didn't want to have the future Professor X if I don't have the future Magneto or any of the other future characters, so I decided not to finish the Professor X minifigure in time. Speaking of which, I don't even know how I'd make his hover chair to begin with. But yeah, so what are my thoughts on Days of Future Past? And speaking of which, actually, before I talk about it, the Lego Movie just came out on iTunes, and I've been watching that quite a bit because the Lego Movie is freaking fantastic. If it decides to play, I guess not, fine, be that way. But yeah, so the Lego Movie is out pretty much. It's not going to be physically available until the 17th, but I got it now on iTunes, so I'm pretty excited about that. But what else? Now I guess we can talk about Days of Future Past. So, Days of Future Past. Spoilers, once again, here's your second warning. I am going to be talking about them with spoilers this time because honestly I want to. So, Days of Future Past, trust me, because of the previous X-Men movies, I half thought that the movie may not work, and then the other half of me thought that the movie was going to be fantastic because of First Class, and thankfully the other half of me was right, and the movie was mind-bogglingly awesome. It was absolutely fantastic. I thought the film was just amazing in every regard, and it did so many things right. I mean, what I really liked about this movie, and a lot of films don't really seem to really immerse me in what could be a dark future, because when they show you the future and they show you the Sentinels and how the entire planet is overrun by Sentinels and it's just dark and everything's in rubble, there are bodies, people have these monitor things on their necks, and it's just like totally in ruin, and mutants are completely gone, and it just really captured the real great feel of what a truly dark future of despair could be like. And that's what I think a lot of movies failed to capture for me, that this movie really did well for me. And then I like how they bounced back and forth, and they showed the mutants struggle with trying to keep Wolverine stuck in the past while they fend off the Sentinels. And it was really cool how I thought that was really an interesting technique, how like Bishop goes back in the past every time they get killed to tell them not to be in that location, and then I thought that was really an interesting mechanic. And then the rest of the film, the characters were just amazing. The story was great. It kept you on the edge of your seat. And like that one moment when they prevent Bolivar Trask's assassination, and then they still get Mystique's blood, you're like, shit. But then thankfully, everything still works out in the end. And I just thought James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, they just did a perfect continuation of their roles from First Class. And 10 years later, and I love how they showed Mystique looking at the photos of Banshee and Azazel and the rest of them, who are all just brutally slaughtered, and they were mutilated, and it was horrific if you're a big First Class fan, like the majority of us. So that was a really emotional scene. And the entire film was emotional. The entire film really captured. I really like what they did with Wolverine, and how the Wolverine said "holy shit" a lot. He had a cigar when you first saw him. You just had like the perfect characteristics that we all know and love of Wolverine from the comics. And I just thought that was great how well Bryan Singer was able to capture it. He just did such an amazing job on his first time back as a director for the X-Men franchise. And the ending, I think we can all agree, was just fantastic, because X-Men 3, they killed off Jean Grey and they killed off Cyclops. It's like, how do you do that? And so now the timeline has been reset all these years later, and it was so amazing for me, because we have not seen those actors. The guy who plays Scott Summers, and the lady who plays Jean Grey, and the guy who plays Older Beast. We haven't seen them, really. I mean, yeah, we saw flashbacks of Jean Grey in previous movies, but I mean, we haven't really seen them really portraying their characters since 2006, before I even started on YouTube. So it was a long, long time ago, and I just thought that the X-Men Days of Future Past, what they did the entire franchise reset by the end of it was just immense, and I love how well balanced each and every one of the characters were. Quicksilver is confirmed to be Magneto's son, and Magneto doesn't know about it. We could see Scarlet Witch in the future, you know, obviously Fox's version of Scarlet Witch, and honestly, Quicksilver was great in the movie. I mean, he wasn't like a huge highlight point for me, like most people are saying. He didn't make the movie for me. What makes that movie for me was the story and the performances by all the actors as a whole, not just Quicksilver being hilarious at one point in the movie, even though he was hilarious and definitely was portrayed in the correct way, and far better than my expectations given the horrible look of his costume. But hopefully he'll get a better one in future X-Men movies. But I mean, those are just my very rough thoughts. X-Men Days of Future Past was fantastic in every regard. I can't possibly just sit here and within like a 10 to 12 minute time span give you every little detail that I loved about Days of Future Past, but it was everything I wanted it to be and more. It's the best, easily, if you ask me, the best X-Men film of all time. I freaking just thoroughly enjoyed this movie in every regard, and I'm so glad that I did go ahead and make 4 figures for the film. And I don't know, I might make more mutants in the future. We'll see. I'm not really planning on any more right now, but if I do, you guys will be first to know about it. And I'm going to head out to Toys R Us because my Toys R Us has the new Guardians of the Galaxy Nowhere Escape mission set, so I'm going to go out to Toys R Us and grab that because I'm going to review that first. And then the review on the new X-Men set will come after that, and then the showcase on Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn, because I'm going to wrap them up soon. That's my plan right now. It is subject to change, but regardless, guys, that's it for this vlog and my thoughts on Days of Future Past. Now, I'm going to get back to watching the Lego movie and how awesomely fantastic this movie is, and then I'm going to head out to Toys R Us, and yeah, so I'll see you guys later. All right, bye!